Hi, everyone. Welcome to Psychosomatic Conversations with Christy, Sean, and myself. We're delighted to be back again. And last month, we talked about how global stresses and global conflicts affects us as individuals and also the people around us. So we're now moving a little bit more closely into the body. And the topic for today is basically the body as a guide and not an obstacle. So we've been having a bit of a discussion around this topic this morning, and we thought it would be interesting just to share some of our personal experiences in regard to when we may not have listened to our bodies. One standout moment as opposed to the daily moments. But sometimes there are times in your life where if you start to catch some of the patterns, it can be really insightful. And I think I'll just start with my story. So, one of the first psychosomatic kind of experiences that I had, even though I had never heard of the word psychosomatic back then, was when I was 28 years of age. My father had passed away. I was working, I was busy, and I started to notice this really deep, deep fatigue that was in my body. And I was going for blood tests and just constantly thinking, okay, there's something wrong with me. I need to get it checked out because I knew I didn't have the energy that I normally would have. And at the end of the day, I was coming home absolutely exhausted. So I think on maybe the third blood test that I had over the period of 12 months, I had a very insightful GP. And the GP turned around and she just said, "What's the relationship like with your father?" Believe it or not.
Mm. Wow.
And I burst into tears,
Oh,
burst into tears. And she
she
goes,
wins.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." And she was, I mean, I think it was just so amazing that she was so insightful. And she said, "I think that you need to go and see a counselor or a psychologist." And that's what I did and started to start my journey of unpacking, some of the things that were still just being stored in my body, stored in my psyche, and that I was overriding quite simply because I didn't want to go into the emotions around that. So very, very cool that I had someone there. And when I reflected back on the psychosomatic side of it, my body was showing me that I had something going on, I had no idea it was in the emotional field. So that was probably my first awareness of psychosomatics and how that was playing out for me. Christy.
Mm, very similar story. How interesting. Hmm. I was, I had moved to where I'm at in Utah in the US from my home, which was Montana. So it's quite a ways away. And about a year out after I moved, I was having severe headaches, crazy anxiety, which I'd never had. Because I was living on my own, working and going to school, and I kept thinking, what's wrong with me? Because I had no idea that that was a thing. I hadn't had them before. And a dear friend of mine said, "Hey, Christy, maybe you should go see someone." And I actually went and saw someone like me, which is laughable. And I'm on the table and it was the smallest noticing, just like the doctor. And he had, he touched my belly and he said, "So what about things at home?" Or same thing, Linda. Lots of tears. I was so blown away by the reaction because I really don't think I was aware that I had emotions. What I understood was pushing to get what I needed to do to work harder. And that was just not part of my paradigm. And I cried for, I think, 2 days. And I was so intrigued. I said to myself, well, he didn't really do anything. He just touched my belly. How come I can't stop crying? And I started school right after that. It was so significant that the awareness that I didn't have, and once that brought in how much, number one, I felt better, but also the amount of emotions that were coming out, I couldn't contain it. And that's really the beginning of my journey in psychosomatics. I was so blown away by what was being held. I had no idea. So that's my story.
Thank you,
Love it.
Christy. Sean, over to you.
Oh, how many stories? How far back should I go? Um, there are times where I've been aware of symptoms that are really short term, that I've been able to comprehend that something I was amiss in my alignment or my understanding of myself. And then there have been major ones where my body ganged up on me. And I say ganged up on me, but really it did me a favor. One in particular event that stands out that put me in hospital um, was lung embolisms, so blood clots on my lungs, peripheral, not in the center, but peripheral. And I had had pretty massive business commitments at the time. I had 6 months beforehand, my father had died, maybe 12 months. Um, so in amongst all of that chaos was strive, 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 strive. And um, eventually that striving, which was overriding the discontentment underneath, my body just ganged up on me and threw me in a hospital. And I was so grateful. It was just like, right, I can, I have to, this whole thing has to turn upside down because I don't have any choice now. Because all my choices led me to this moment that became a collapse. And I call it my get out of jail free card. So I was legitimately sick, so therefore unavailable. Um, and and that was a real massive turning point because there's a lot around the retrieval of my body. As in, when I say retrieval of my body was already there, but it was me getting back in tune with my body and also overcoming, understanding all of the symptoms that were behind, but the emotional push that was also there. And it was very relative to breath. So my life existence in itself. Um, so that was and it was a kind of, it turns out afterwards, after I came out of hospital, my friends were telling me that was kind of a near-death thing. Because there was hemorrhaging going on and all sorts of other stuff that they didn't tell me about, but I found out only because I had friends in the right places. Um, so it was a fairly dramatic exit. Um, uh, and I already knew what was going on in the background, um, but didn't take the time to address it. So eventually it piles up, bro.
Gosh, I remember that, Sean. I remember that time really well. And
Mm.
as a friend of yours, that was really quite a scary period of time.
Yeah, a lot of people have said
Yeah, I
that.
was really worried for you, sort of thinking
Oh,
that,
Amanda.
you could exit.
Yeah, yeah.
Very,
There,
very
there could
glad to
have
see
been
that you
there could have
didn't.
been an exit going on there, yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, but it
So the
was
so that really invites, how do we listen to our body? And sometimes, we're hearing these conversations more and more around people, and the body awareness is growing as well, where people are actually saying, "Hey, you've got to start listening to your body." And we, Sean,
I there's can I share an example of a client just
sure, please
just
do.
from 2 weeks
Do.
ago? Um, they were recommended to me by somebody else. They came, they knew nothing about me or um, what I do or any of the treatments or all those things. Um, So I was very gentle. I was very aware of the delicate space that she found herself in, which she was unaware of. Um, and then 4/5 of the way through the treatment, she just
Ah, good.
completely collapses into this.
Hmm.
Um, which I was hoping we would do that the second time round, not the first time round. I was really, really gentle. And she was very confused afterwards. And what she came in touch with was rage. She was like, furious that this experience had occurred. She didn't know it was supposed to happen. She didn't know what was going on. All of the chaos that goes with that she felt. But the rage was really what was missing in her life, like the passion, that raw passion that she'd already described beforehand, um, around her work and around her life and around her participation. Um, but it's just one of those things that when the timing's right, it just kind of happens.
Hmm.
Yeah, and to allow that in a safe space, I mean, how precious is that?
Yes, it nearly wasn't safe for me, but that's okay. I've survived worse.
Oh, our bodies certainly, I really believe, Sean, though, and I've seen it in my practice a lot, that the container that you hold
Mm,
matters. And
mm,
her system felt safe, even though
yeah,
maybe her brain wasn't aware of what was happening.
no idea.
That happens quite a bit because the awareness that I think psychosomatic brings and the work that we bring, we can see what that is, and the body is intelligent enough to go, oh, thank God, let's let go of this. And
Yeah,
it
that's
wasn't
right.
even
Oh,
intentional, like you said.
now is the right time. Oh.
Exactly. That's what happened to
But
me. It happened
hold
to
on. It's not in
clients.
the calendar.
Exactly. I didn't plan
Yeah.
for this.
Can we get this out of
It's
here
like I don't
fast?
have time.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yes,
So funny.
it was very interesting. So
Not funny, but it's funny.
funny, not funny. But it's
Funny
one of
enough.
those things where you can they learn to identify or become aware of where their allegiance is, and their allegiance is with the the mentality or the mind or the foresight that the mind would prefer to have and their loyalty to that. But then when the body is given the moment to be heard or we're asked to listen, it'll throw up exactly its own truth. So,
Yeah.
and that truth was a surprise to her mind. Um,
Classic.
so yeah, it was very fascinating. I just want to share that.
Thank
Mm.
you. Thanks, Sean. So what I was just saying before as well, we kind of get used to thinking about the body as when something goes wrong, you need to listen to what your body's communicating. But I'd really like to invite you to think about it in a slightly different way. If you feel that you've been a little bit disconnected from your body, to start to notice the subtle messages, the subtle areas when you maybe even first impressions of someone. It could be, oh, what is my sense? What is my feeling? So that you start to develop a really good ability to go, oh, my body is communicating in just everyday situations. Because the more that you can start to use it every day, the more it's going to show up. Christy, you got any examples that you'd like to share?
Um, yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about insomnia. I see a lot of that coming into my office. And one of the signals with insomnia tends to be overthinking, mentalizing. I would also say hypervigilance and not feeling like you can let go and literally close your eyes and go to sleep, because sleep is letting go. And what I see, and sometimes with myself, when I experience if I'm carrying too much or I'm thinking about too many people, things, my mind can't settle and I'll lay there till 3 a.m. And that's one of my signs as well to pay attention. But as I have clients come through, I see so many people on sleep meds because of the pattern of pushing and the pattern of over mentalizing until the body's so exhausted it falls asleep instead of allowing and opening the space for relaxation and rest and not being on digital products. Like there's so many parts now that didn't used to exist. And sleeping with phones, always having noise coming in also creates insomnia. And so we're in a different world today than we were of we how we managed before, even with being over mental. Now we have media coming in and light coming in and sound coming in, which also creates more insomnia. It's a wicked, vicious cycle. And when insomnia happens, that's really when I see the body breaks down, people start getting sick, getting colds. If it's long term, can develop all different kinds of issues in the body because it's not repairing at nighttime. And instead of ignoring that part, which is what we're talking about today, is to pay attention when you're not sleeping. So we can find a new way to regulate for sleep.
So that's, Christy, is one of your signals when you're out of balance. You'll first notice it in your sleep and your sleep disturbances.
Absolutely. Yep. Because my mind will be on, and what it says to me too is I'm not doing my practices. Like I like to do a meditation at nighttime or a sleeping yoga kind of thing. If I forget or there again, I override that, my body quickly reminds me, oh, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Because I used to take sleep meds a long time ago because I couldn't sleep. And now I know that when that happens, it's an indication for me to go remember my practices because life happens. And I always come back to that because I don't like not sleeping.
I don't
It's
think
quite
anyone
terrible.
likes not sleep.
Oh, it's quite terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
But
We,
yeah,
and we're going to go into some of those practices in our next
mhm.
session as well. So we'll come back to the insomnia and your practices if it's okay, Christy, next
Yeah,
week.
I would love to share those.
Sean, how about you? What do you notice?
Yeah, I'm I recognize now why I spent a decade on the dance floor. Um, because it was a space where no one could actually talk to me.
Mm.
I was able to just be with my body and express my body and allow through what was within my body at the time. I'm such a highly charged person that I was out 6 nights a week, till 3, 4, 5 o'clock. That was, I guess it could have looked like insomnia if I wasn't on a dance floor, but I was on a dance floor, and by the time I got home, I was very well spent in order to sleep. So sleep became a experience, but I was really aware of how that affected many other components of who I am. And at this point in my life, I'm really aware that if there is 2 or 3 conversations going on inside my mind and none of them include me, then I'm disconnected
Mm.
from myself or the self, or I'm distracted from being with me. And that's when I need to tip the scales a little. I have to learn how to undo what's outside of me by returning back to me. And it's nice that all very lovely that I want to lend my thoughts to the world. However, this is my physical living experience, and without that, I'm not going to be able to lend myself to the world. So it's a matter of coming back to the flesh for me, very much coming back to the flesh for me. Um, so it's sensations, and yes, it's external stimulation of sensations, but it's also, um, uplifting emotive experiences are really important for my buoyancy. And I call it buoyancy because it's kind of like coming back to a nice floating space within me rather than feeling under pressure or
Mhm.
overwrought with thoughts.
Mm, nice. Really good awareness there.
Mm.
For
What
me,
about
it's
yourself?
for me, it's probably, well, it's not probably. What am I saying? There is no probably about it.
Play it on
I,
us,
For
Linda.
me, it's my neck and my shoulders.
mm,
And
Mm.
having had three physical accidents that, one being hit by an interstate transport carrier,
oops.
uh, my neck has been a source of weakness. And as a result of that, if I'm out of balance, it's the first thing that starts to, really show up. And Christy, very similar. It's about doing the practices, slowing down, and recognizing, firstly, it's not about taking a tablet, which once upon a time would probably be a painkiller for me, but to actually not push through in that way, to sit and just go, okay, so when was the last time? Or did you do yesterday or today? Have you done the practices that actually assist with making my neck feel quite aligned and stable?
Mm.
And am I doing too much extension of my neck as I'm typing and I'm doing work? So it's a really good wake up call. And I guess not using the crutch when I know people need to do pain medication and pain in whatever way that they do it, but it took me years to go off taking regular painkillers. Like I would easily have, going back 10, 15 years, I would have a box of painkillers to manage pain probably every month. And now I'll occasionally take a pain tablet. It's more about what can I do to actually listen to my body, lean in more, and what supports it to come back into balance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
big topics, right?
what I love about symptoms is that they beckon.
Yeah.
They're cool because
Quietly,
they're
then
they're
loudly.
disrupting what what the current path is,
Mhm.
and therefore I need to pause. I need to pause to listen.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I can go somewhere and have a treatment, and therefore someone else helps me listen. Um, Still need to make the time to listen. Um,
And it is about changing that whole relationship with how you see those symptoms. It's like,
yeah.
are they messages or are they something to go, I want to push away. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there is a tendency to push away what we don't like, what feels uncomfortable. And, that's where some of the shifts can start to take place. And Sean, as you're just speaking then, I'm sure you will remember when I first met you back in 2010 when I was promoting psychosomatics and promoting some of your classes, some of the migraines that I used to get.
Wild.
Mm.
And I would be violently ill. I would literally be,
Yep. Out.
like 5 hours out a day that I would need to rest, need to be in bed when they came in. And Sean started to say to me, like, so what's your body communicating with you? Like, what?
What?
I'm
You're
sick.
so
Yep.
annoying, Sean.
Leave me alone.
I'm
What do you
unwell.
mean?
But it was, right back then when I sort of started to change the relationship with how my symptoms were presenting. And it's been such a long time since I've had migraines. I've had other challenges, don't get me wrong, but such a long time since I've been bedridden with a migraine.
Mm, congrats.
Leaning in and having a curious mindset rather than trying to go, let's just ignore the pain and take a painkiller.
Yeah, for me, I think um because some things are short term, some things are long term. Like some things surprise us and is there today and it's gone tomorrow, which we're all relieved because it didn't last long. Um, but then there are other things in life that have a larger process, whether that's grief, whether that's physical recovery from an injury, which takes a deeper dedication, and therefore having the temperance or the understanding to coexist with what my brain perceives as a disturbance, but the disturbance is actually the priority in my life over and above my tasks that are outside of me
Yeah.
in order to fully recover myself. Yeah. Not necessarily from the incident, but recover myself. So I'm return to that part of the body and that part of I'm friends with that part of the body.
Yeah. And again, that can be so hard when there's a fear of what could happen.
Ah,
And
poor
to
brain is so
lean in.
terrified of so many things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor
Yeah.
brain.
Well, and that's where, Sean, you called it a free ticket.
Yeah.
Because what will happen and what usually does happen is something glitches
Yeah.
and there's a sickness, there's a something, and it does force rest sometimes.
And I think that's what happened in COVID, right? Suddenly somebody would
Mhm.
have something mild and they'd have to go, oh, can't come.
Yep.
Yep. Everybody suddenly was pulling out of plans immediately, right? Um, so there's a whole change of society around personal health, but also um, how we show up somewhere. And at that point in time, it was unacceptable to show up anywhere if you had any sense of a sniffle.
Yes.
And people were using that as a get out of jail free card. Oh, sorry, can't come. Oh, can't come.
It was nice. I used it a few
Interesting.
times. I'm like, oh no.
Yep.
But it seems like that's over now.
Yes.
In that I see it, the patterns come back of the pushing till you're through, you're sick,
Mm, mm.
till you hurt. Like that's a really good example because I think when the world paused for that amount of time, people were sitting with themselves
Ooh. And that
and
either became something
noticing.
lovely or something unusual,
Yeah, really challenging.
mentally,
Be,
emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
yeah. And it can be really concerning for a lot of people if they have pushed through the pattern and been, right from a very young age, been the responsible one, the person who needs to show up all the time,
Mm.
and they've parked the emotions. It can be a really scary place to actually go, well, what happens if I move to the other part that's got the storage of those emotions, the vulnerability that I don't show out to the world? Um, I actually, I see a lot of clients in that situation where the coping patterns are still very much prevalent. And I would say sometimes in the grief patterns that shows up, incredibly strongly. So the
Mm.
body not only needs
Yes.
to feel safe as what we've been talking about, the physical safety with the facilitator, but it actually needs to also be internally safe. The
Hmm.
client creates an internal safety, and it's not something that you can just simply go to your body, hey, you just need to be safe on the inside. Like, be nice, be kind. It's like sometimes that guiding into, well, how does that look and how can you create that safety?
Mm.
Yeah, and what are you saying? I think that's a beautiful example, Linda, to become aware of what is going on in the mind about the issue or about your body or about your health.
Yeah.
Like even if you get to the point of exhaustion, I've heard so many people say, my body's betraying me because now I'm getting sick or I have brain fog. And it's so part of this communication aspect that when we have those things to not instead of getting upset or thinking I think my other favorite phrase is I thought I got rid of that.
Yeah.
It lets you know you didn't, that you're human and it comes back. And so I say that gently because it's so easy to go to that perfectionist kind of place of why does this happen again? Because we're human and life happens and we're in times that we've never been in, which is why
I
we're
call
doing
it
this
the
call in the
emotional
first place.
university.
Oh,
The mental and emotional university. What? I haven't got time to listen.
yes.
Oh, yes, you
Very
will.
real.
Oh,
Hmm.
yes, you will.
Yeah.
And often it's about things that um, Yeah, the body has a secret for you. A secret about
Mhm.
yourself, a secret about um, the way in which we're interrelating, the way in
Mhm.
which we are approaching particular, very specific um, feelings or notions or movements. Um, it's the body will teach you alignment, and we need to be available. If we're
Mhm.
not, that's okay, because that's a unique framework to existing.
It's expensive in
Okay.
many different ways.
That as well.
Expensive if you don't listen.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're kind of describing it a little bit as well, the midlife crisis that can occur for some people.
Yes.
I just invite Christy to lean into the midlife crisis. What does that represent for you as a concept around how the body's communicating?
The frustration that it doesn't do what it did is what I hear and see the most, especially I literally had a client yesterday that's working 7 days a week, probably 80, 90 hours. And what I loved what she said, so she's 55 now, and she said, "This has never happened before. I've always been able to work that much. What's wrong with me?" And we laughed after she said it because it was such a mental frustration, and we just laughed like it was hysterical because a midlife crisis is noticing, oh, I really probably should take care of myself. And her body was forcing her not to, like to not work so much because it literally was collapsing midday.
Yeah.
And she was developing serious neurological things because her head is on a computer that long and a lot of pain and burning in her neck and shoulders
Mm.
that she never had before when she was younger. And so it's a whole different change of literally being forced to listen because it's screaming louder than her brain is at this point.
It's like a body RSI moment.
It, that's a good example. Yeah, because it takes over.
Yeah, smash a habit for long enough, it'll smash you.
John, what about you, midlife crisis? How do you view that in terms of the body's communication?
More often than not, I see it as somebody's response to retrieving the life that they thought they should have had or could have had. So, um, sometimes they'll do things that are out of their norm, um, in order to have an adventure or a feeling or a sensation that they feel they haven't had for quite some time.
Mm,
Reactivating threads of their body, um, for the thrill of life to exist in them again because it becomes so dull.
Mm,
Yeah, so dampened, so denied. Um, and suddenly they're like, this isn't how it's meant to be. And there's a real push against the norm
mm.
or what they've created as their norm. And that's when everybody goes, who is this person? What are they doing? And why are they going about it that way? Um, when actually they're simply finally being adventurous, which is what they originally wanted, but they'd surrendered, they'd given up on.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And in psychosomatics, we often refer to not the breakdown, but the breakthrough.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so for me, it's probably, well, yeah, exactly what you guys have been saying. So I love that. The redefining, the prioritizing.
Yeah, I remember a moment when I turned 30 and I went, this is not the life that I anticipated. And I went and changed everything about it. Do you want to call that midlife? Not really, 30, hardly. Um, but it was one of those things where it was kind of like my life was being molded by everybody else and not by me.
Yeah. So do you feel, either of you, do you feel that sometimes there can be an overemphasize the other extreme, an overemphasizing into the body?
Yeah, definitely a hypervigilance in that. And also catastrophizing, like paying attention. There's a happy balance, I think, because one thing can happen and um I hear and see blame and shame because how could that happen? What did I do wrong? How come I didn't see that? What's wrong with me? And there's so much information now about the emotional aspect, and that can be kind of a mind insanity piece because what did I do? And then it just spirals and spirals. And that can be super dangerous too. So it's a fine line to notice and create a relationship with this body, with our minds, because I do think they can coincide together. But to notice when they're shaming around something that happened that you weren't aware of, notice when you become hyper aware and maybe go into something's wrong with me. And so yeah. What does it feel like to push a little bit, maybe? What does it feel like to be uncomfortable without having it be that something's wrong?
Mm. Yeah, I've also seen a lot of people get obsessed with it as well. I have a
Mm.
nickname for it. It's called the Puritan. And and at one point in my life, I was quite the Puritan. And it was leading life through things that I perceived were good for me.
Mm.
And that's based around societal information and my ability to um, latch onto those and make them part of my life, but they're really not part of my makeup.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's what I really liked. At one point, I was trying on so many different, I call them outfits, but it was really, it gave me the opportunity to reflect about whether that's actually me. Is that something that registers with me? Is that something that um, positively stimulates me?
Mm.
Yes.
I love the two descriptions that you guys have given because like you've just made me also sort of think about something slightly different.
Oh,
But
good.
coming back to how, how we use this information and the work that we do.
Yep.
We look at the face shapes, we look at different parts of the face for us to learn about, what our clients are telling us. And sometimes the rectangular face shape, they may be told to do meditation if they're uptight, but actually, someone who's got a rectangular face shape may find it really difficult to actually like sit in a Zen, quiet style pose for any length of time. It drives them to distraction. So when you actually learn a little bit more about like the face reading side of things, you can actually take a look at a client and go, you probably may not be suited to meditation. Have you tried it? And they go, I hate it. And then
Yes, they do say that.
you get them to do a different style of being more consciously present in their body through like more of a walking or movement style activity. So I love that. I love that how it relates and to
Yeah. For my disposition, when my physical body is required to be strong for a period of time, my mind suddenly goes, "Oh, we have strength here," rather than my mind being the formula for strength.
Mm.
So it's definitely when it's naturally activated in my body and I'm able to locate it, then my mind feels safer or it feels as if it's in a strong vessel. And that in itself means that it no longer needs to overthink everything for just in cases,
Yeah.
or else it just strategizes out of control.
Hmm. Indeed.
Good example.
Okay. So, Christy, you're going to do some reflections with people listening.
Yeah. So, what we were talking about before when we came on is just really how important it is to listen. And the question comes, how do I do that? And so for today, I would like to have each of you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes. If not, just lower your gaze a little bit. And I'm going to offer a question. We'll sit with it for 30 seconds to a minute. And this is all about just noticing. And I want to be clear that if you notice nothing, that is an answer of a something. It's a little bit of a play on words. I don't feel anything. That's information, data for us, for you. That is still something. So there's no way to do this wrong. This is about noticing. So let's everyone take 2 sips of breath in and blow it out through your mouth. So 2 sips in and blow it out. And just let your body settle in. We'll do that 3 times. 2 sips in through your nose and blow it out. And one more time, 2 sips in and blow it out. And put one hand on your belly. You can put one hand on your heart and just ask, what signal from my body do I most commonly notice? And as you notice that, to take another deep breath. We're gathering information from this intelligent body and the intelligent mind. And the next question is, when do I feel the most disconnected from myself? What scenarios create that? Is it something that is created? Is it there quite often? When do you feel most disconnected from yourself? And even noticing with these questions what kind of stories might come up with the question. That's also information to be aware of the back and forth with the body and the mind. And I'd like to ask one more question. What happens when you override your exhaustion and you push through regardless of the fatigue or pain? Because sometimes it's either or. What happens? What do you notice when you override it in the past? And take another nice breath. These are questions that are even worth journaling about. The more awareness you can have of self and relationship to when something happens, how do I react? Sometimes that's mentally, sometimes it's emotionally, sometimes it's physically. What is that for you? And everyone will be different. There's no comparing in any of these reactions. Also important to know. And the degree which they happen are also very individual. And to remember your body is like your own computer that you're taking care of. You're understanding how to use it, how to listen to it, how to clean it, how to make sure it is well taken care of. Go
Yes.
ahead, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to put any just comments in the chat, just in terms of it, if you did want to share just something that you might have noticed, some new awareness or insight, feel free to put them into the chat. That was beautiful, Christy. Thank you for doing that. And it's always such a great reminder just to kind of consider those questions because it can be difficult to, like, if you never have this type of question, it's like sometimes you're busy, you just it would never come into mind. It's a really beautiful reflection.
They're
And
so good to know because you can laugh at them when they happen. Because they will happen, I promise. You'll do great, you'll do great, and then it'll happen again and you'll go, "Oh my God, there I am again." And I hope that you can laugh with it with us of being human until we leave the planet. I really believe this is a process of practice, relationship back and forth with ourselves. There is no perfection. There's only cultivation and exploration and compassion towards that.
I have to laugh as you said that, Christy. It's just reminds it reminds me of you maybe need to learn how to have fun with it. Learn how to laugh with it. Because that can be a process too, right? Just
It
learn,
is.
learning how that internal part that starts to have some laughter with us. Um, it does remind us not to take ourselves so seriously, right?
Yeah.
Makes it much easier.
Yeah. Make light. It will make more.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things where um sometimes the body will generate self-appreciation quite readily, and then there are other times where it will require self-appreciation and
Hmm.
self-acknowledgement. And we see that Barbara says, I felt a tightness, so thankfully found a new yoga group to help with the deep breathing. And disconnection is a relationship to sensation and our willingness to connect with that sensation because it's already within us. It's just me. How could I not want to see me? How could I not want me? It's just me.
So
Oh,
true.
Yes, those
Barbara,
poor
I
late
love
night
that.
snacks, the longing for desire. Yeah.
The sensation of pleasure. Yep.
Yeah.
You're not alone, Barbara.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
That sense of fulfillment, rather than the experience of discontentment, or the understanding of discontentment. And and even then, experiencing discontentment can actually have a pleasurable edge because we are devouring the discord that lives within us.
So as we come towards the close, we just invite you to take away that awareness creates choice. And the more that you can create the space to become aware, the easier it's going to get. In our next month, we're going to explore further what we've been talking about today, but we're going to bring it into a more practical level. So we're going to take some of the themes that we've talked about. We may even add a couple, but the aim is to take a look at some practices that you can use every day for the areas that relate to you. And what doesn't relate to you, maybe send someone else to listen to the recording. So just take
Mm.
away what you would like to take away from next month's recording. We thank you for listening to us again this month. We love sharing our insights and our psychosomatic education so that it can also make a difference to anyone that it relates to on that particular day. Christy, do you want to say anything before we sign off?
Yeah, I about choice. When we feel like we have a choice, when we're aware of whether or not we're saying we have a choice, that is power. That is personal power. And listening like through the next month till we see you again, do you ever hear yourself saying, I don't have a choice? Your body's hearing every piece of that and contracts. So as we notice little tiny things of choices, and that's what we're going to offer on our next call. Well, what are those choices? We're going to give you some choices, and hopefully that will help create a platter of things that can come up when there's overwhelm and exhaustion and insomnia and all the things that sometimes life brings.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a um, learning how to diversify our emotional palette.
Love that. And on that note, we say goodbye. Have a great month, and we'll see you next month.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for
See
coming.
you. Bye.